Hi there, and welcome to the July 2020 product update for iplicit. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at how to check your version, where you can find the release notes, and we're going to take a quick look at all the new features within this month's release. Firstly, you can check what version of iplicit you're running by clicking on the pulse, and the version number will be located at the bottom of your screen. To find the release notes for both the current and prior months, head to the iplicit Support Center. So now we're going to take a look at some of the highlights for this month's release. We can see the introduction of batch refunds that work in a similar way to batch receipts and batch payments. We have some changes to the way we handle partial tax. We now support intercompanies without legal entities as their own separate contact account. We've made some changes in the response to the government's actions to introduce the Hospitality and Tourism Tax Band. We've also added some things to help with non-recoverable tax bans on the VAT returns. And finally, we'll take a look at some smaller features, like the email settings and the new reply to feature within that. So moving on into the first feature of today's release, and it is the new addition of batch refunds. So as I said, you can now process batch refunds within iplicit, and this works in a similar manner to batch receipts. And of course, a common usage of this would be to refund deposits. And you can find these within batch receipts, and you would want to go ahead and change the receipt template to equal batch refund. You would then go ahead and select the legal entity and the bank account like you normally would, enter a description, you can choose the payment method on there, and then you'd go to allocations, and then you would choose the documents you would like to refund, and when you click submit, it will produce a file in which you can take and upload to the bank. So the second thing we're going to take a look at today is the changes we've made to the way partial tax works. So to enable greater flexibility when entering partial tax documents, we now support the ignoring of partial tax on individual lines. And this is, of course, is restricted dependent upon your access permissions. So when you create a new line within an invoice, for example, you will have the tax rate recoverable, and the partial tax ignore tick box. And you can go ahead and tick this tick box, and you'll see that that tax recoverable percentage will change from 75% to 100%. So moving on, we're going to take a look at the intercompany without legal entity. So you can now create a contact account that is just an intercompany entity. And you can create this from a customer or a supplier or a legal entity itself, or you can create a new one like I have on screen now. You'll notice that I've actually ticked the intercompany tick box as well as the customer and supplier tick box, meaning I can place transactions against this contact account. And to truly see this in action, what I've done is I've created a manual journal. And within this manual journal, on one of the account codes, I've changed the chart of account rules so that intercompany is one of the posting attributes, so that when I click on intercompany, I can select one of the intercompanies I have created. Now again, it's important to note you can make this intercompany contact account from a legal entity or from any other contact accounts, and you'll be able to see the intercompany balances through an inquiry. So the next feature we're going to take a look at today is the Hospitality and Tourism Tax Band. In response to the recent UK government announcements for 5% VAT on hospitality and tourism, there is a new hospitality tax band with associated tax handling. Both customers and suppliers associated to this tax band will be able to take advantage of this rate. So if we were to go ahead and select a supplier with the associated tax band, in this case I've set the default to hospitality and tourism on the supplier record, and we were to select a product, we can see that the tax rate will immediately change to 5%. This means that after entering a £100 unit price as the net price, we'll see a 105 gross amount. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the non-recoverable tax band. So an additional non-recoverable tax band has been created, and this is useful in instances where VAT has been charged, such as a purchase invoice, but no invoice could be found to support the input VAT claim on the tax return. For UK VAT, this would mean that box 7 is populated with the net, but the input tax is not reclaimed in box 4. So I've showed the VAT return beforehand and we've done our estimation, and now I've created a purchase invoice where I've set that tax band to be non-recoverable, and I've entered 100 net, so 120 total, And what we're expecting to see when I go back on that VAT return and I estimate is that box 4 will stay the same and box 7 should increase by 100. And sure enough, it has done. So that's the addition of the non-recoverable tax band. So one of the final things we're going to take a look at is the email settings and the addition of the reply to field. And this is just to demonstrate that this is one of many minor enhancements that we've made this month. So please do be sure to check out the documentation on the website, on the release notes, for more information about things like this and project handling. So the ability to have cost centers and departments against customer and supplier records and much, much more. So let's recap what we've seen in today's video. We've seen that we can now process batch refunds within iplicit, and this works in a similar manner to batch receipts, and the common usage for this would be to refund deposits. We've enabled even greater flexibility when entering partial tax documents, as we now support the ignoring of partial tax on individual lines. We also know it's now possible to have intercompanies which are not directly related to legal entities, and this is done by the tick box on the contact account. We also know with those intercompanies that we can make them customers and suppliers if we need to. We've seen the government's introduction to the Hospitality and Tourism Tax Band, which limits tax at 5%. And we've seen the effects that that can have on a document within iplicit. We've seen the non-recoverable tax band and the effect that that might have on the VAT return. So if we were to enter a £100 net invoice, we would only see the net appear on the VAT return. We've also seen some changes to email settings with the reply to field, and we know that we can look for more online on the website on the release notes. So thank you for watching the product update for July 2020. If you'd like to know more, you can contact our support team with any questions you may have. We do offer bite-sized online training for any users who would like to learn more about the system, including some new features. So please don't hesitate to contact us at support@iplicit.com. Thank you for watching.